As rural Americans, we have a unique understanding of and connection to the land. Whether we ranch, farm, log, or simply recreate, what we do today determines our tomorrow. As stewards of the land, it's our duty to ensure that our children and grandchildren can enjoy the outdoors in a similar manner that was afforded us. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and ensure the future of elk, other wildlife, their habitat, and our hunting heritage. Visit rmef.org today.
One day, I will bring together foundational pieces for growth. One day, I will be forged, pushed to my limits by the elements. One day, I will be fashioned, perfected through sheer determination. One day, you and I will meet, and together, our story will be told.
Well, welcome to another episode of According to Flint, episode number 60, which we have just determined is the PRCA Clown of the Year episode.
Like it.
Happy to welcome the Pro Rodeo Clown of the Year, Comedy Act of the Year, NFR, National Violence Rodeo, Barrel Man, Coors Man in the Can. Name an award. For some reason, this guy's won it, John Harrison. I'm joking. I'm joking, John.
You've won them all. So, I mean, just following your footsteps, trying to live up to you.
Okay, so I never corrected anybody while I was at the NFR, but I got to tell you something. I'm gonna share this with you. You won this year. You were the NFR Barrel Man, Clown of the Year, Comedy Act of the Year, and Coors Man in the Can. I never won Comedy Act of the Year.
No.
Yeah,
I thought you won all three.
So here's the deal. When I started getting the NFR and winning Clown of the Year, Comedy Act of the Year wasn't a thing.
Wasn't a thing. No.
So the Triple Crown thing was NFR, Coors Man the Can, Clown of the Year.
Clown of the Year.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the last year I was rodeo and the ballots came out and I was nominated for Comedy Act of the Year. They sent out new ballots, and I'll tell you why. I never on my PRCA card, never designated myself a contract act. I did that on purpose, actually. So
because you didn't want to do acts, or
no, I always thought when, to me, the contract act was the One-Armed Bandit or Tommy Lucia.
The specialty act. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just never did. And I thought, well, I've come this far. I'll just leave it. I'm a rodeo clown. And so anyway, I never designated. So tell me, I want to know, because and this has nothing to do with any of you guys winning it, but I want to know, how is Comedy Act of the Year defined? Is it a specific act? I've never got that.
We will spend, so in Vegas, those of you who don't know, we have a convention where we have our meetings and our banquets and all that. Well, we have convention where we sit down and we go to the Clown Barrel Man meeting, and then we have specialty act meeting. That question right there will take the entire hour of our meeting up. What is defines a specialty act versus a comedy act? So what happened was Keith Isley, who gave me that comedy act, the Trick Riding Act, that he won, he started winning specialty act of the year with that act. Well, they started getting mad because now a clown who's winning Clown of the Year is now winning Act of the Year. So they decided to split the two categories into dress act and comedy act. So dress acts are your John Paynes, your Tomases, your non-funny. And then you bring in the comedy side, which was the comedy trick riding and Gizmo's ambulance act or whatever it is. Those are the comedy sides. So definition: one wears makeup, one don't.
So on basically when people vote for it, they are voting for the person, but is it designated a specific act?
It is, but who actually votes like that? So I'll use an example. I've been nominated for Comedy Act of the Year with 3 different acts and put them out there, but I know what people are still voting on. They're voting on whichever act they think's the best, or John Harrison as his act is the comedy trick ride. I mean, they're not voting for the Magic Act or Miss Radio Universe at the time. They're still voting on which person does the best act. I swear it's the person. And whenever they say Comedy Act of the Year, they don't say your comedy trick rider act. They're like, your act of the year is John Harrison. So
there was, I do remember a time, it must have been when I was still going, that they designated, even at the awards banquet, the actual act. I remember that.
Yeah, well, they still even on the ballots when they come out now, it'll say John Harrison comedy trick ride and Gizmo ambulance act. So you're supposed to be voting for the act.
So maybe when I remember when I got nominated, that was humbling, by the way, when they sent out a new ballot and said you can't vote for Flint.
Right.
Maybe I'm thinking mine, it was either the piano or the dance of the decades. That would have been my act. There you go.
I love the piano. I seen it in Red Bluff when I was there roaming riding, and every time it come time to do your act, I sneak up there and watch the piano act. I think it's great.
You know what? This is I remember when that was happening. So there was a time also, see, we're talking old times. What all of a sudden towards the end of when I was rodeo, so the early 2000s. So I worked Reno one year, all 10 days. I was in the arena the whole time, but Troy Lurwell did his motorcycle jumping act. I went to Hermiston, Oregon, and Keith Isley did his trick riding act. So that's when that started, is they were getting contract act of the year. I never liked working with another clown. It didn't make sense to me that Troy Lurwell would just come out and do an act.
It doesn't. Well, and it's happened to me too, because whenever I first, when I'd go watch you at Red Bluff, I was roaming riding. And then I got into the comedy side of it. I had a horse that would jump the car. And rodeo queens, they're great ambassadors to our sport, but there's some of them that give you some material, I guess you would say. So I made this act about, an oversized rodeo queen that can't ride and flirts with the announcer. And that act, they started hiring me to do that act at rodeos. And I'm not the clown. I was just a special act. So here I would show up and do a comedy act. It was awkward,
I agree. I think there's a tone to be set. We develop a character
100%
through a rodeo. I remember when they first started doing a few real live TV nights at the NFR and said, can you come out and fill 2.5 minutes? I said, that's hard to do. And they said, you do 2.5 hours, 2.5 minutes will be easy. Not at all. The opposite, correct?
Yes, 100%. In a place too that everybody is rodeo and every eye is judging you. That one's very tough.
Speaking of the NFR, as long as we're on that, you do a job. I even see it with the announcers, but especially us. You do a job a certain way all year. And you're voted to be the barrelman at the NFR based on the job you have done all year. You get to the NFR and they don't let you do your job the way you do it all year. It's an incredible honor. I have a buckle right here displayed because I'm proud of every one of those I got.
Absolutely.
Man, you wonder sometimes if it's doing you any good. If there's
I've had committees come to me and be like, we watched you at the NFR and you didn't do anything, and we're looking for somebody that's a little bit more interactive at the rodeo. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's not the rodeo to judge me on.
Yeah, I remember when I first started going, it was a Ted Kimsey or a Rudy Burns, one of that generation of guys that said getting voted to be the barrelman at the NFR really didn't do anything to help my career. So you hope that those rodeo committees and fans especially, you hope they understand that, but a lot of them don't.
They don't. I see it on social media all the time of why they take your microphone away. And I'm like, I've never got one, and then finally this year when I paid the lady to hit the transformer on Swanson Street and shut the lights out, we got to do something.
I've always thought that was interesting. The NFR, because it's a stressful setting too, because
It is tough. This year, so I've been on, Alan, it was great to work with, and I've been talking about using a microphone, or like we had a microphone here in years, we don't plan on using one. So they're always worried about the time gaps of the clown going too long. And I'm like, let me do just some simple things like the Simba cam where you set it up, and when you're ready to get out of it, you just, turn away. So we did the Simba cam on that round 6 when the lights went out, and everybody don't understand the lights going out in Vegas because they're like, well, they turn them off 15 times a night. But the difference is these lights are shuttered. And so what people don't know what that means is that the lights never really go off. They just have like little flaps that go in front of them that make it dark in the arena. So they're halogen lights or whatever. So when they go off, truly, they have to cool down, which is a 15-minute process, So I'd go out after the bareback ride and I do the Simba cam, full lights, all's good. I know more. Exactly. So I hold it, do the deal. I get to the top of the tunnel and they get my microphone and it's gone. So then I go to the locker room and I see like this little flash. So lights went out and I'm like, what in the world happened? Well, in our locker room, which you've been in there 100 times, it's just a TV and you can still hear the announcers fine because it's the in-house feed. Well, I didn't know it was dark in the arena. So anyway, my wife actually calls me and is like, you need to go do something. I'm like what? Why? And so anyway, I take off running. The lights were out. And so we go back out there to, do the wave and then it's Bulldoggers walk in. Anyway, I didn't know they were getting ready to start again. So then I would leave the arena. It was just an awkward, but we finally got to actually interact and do something during the rodeo, which was great.
Yeah, it is. Can I hear Carla right now?
Yeah.
Gosh, hey, but okay. I had on my little card her name written at the bottom because your wife is she's a go-getter, man. That lady, she does it all. She does it all.
Get in here.
Is she answering the questions for you? Is she like?
With the NFR and the lights going out and him having to run to the arena. Of course, I knew he didn't know because I know his setup. So I called him. I was like, hey, go do the wave, go do something. Anyhow, I get off the phone and this lady's sitting next to me. John goes out there, he's doing the wave. And this lady goes, you are so insightful. And I was like, well, I knew I had a clown sitting down, and I know in a general, like at a rodeo, when something goes wrong, they turn to y'all. And that's what you guys are there for. You fill those times. And so when this goes on, I just thought it was such a good opportunity to show exactly why you have clowns at a rodeo.
So Carla, now you're aware that you don't actually have the authority to make that call. Yeah.
Right. But everyone that had the authority to make that call was too worried about something else.
Hey, but what's interesting is you're exactly right. Like I saw somebody, thank God John Harrison came out and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking, yep, that we've all been to a rodeo. I cannot probably name a rodeo clown or rodeo person that hasn't been at a rodeo where the lights haven't gone out. Right?
Or the ambulance left or whatever. Something happens.
Something. Animal get out of line. They have to go resort or they filled too many steers.
Yeah. I don't know why they just didn't use the guy that dances in the aisles and peels t-shirts off. I don't know.
I don't think he was for that right. He was supposed to go one more event.
Okay. Another topic. That's a whole, speaking of this, I've been outspoken publicly about different things. I am not a plant people in the crowd guy ever, because I think it's funnier. For one, if you're talented, you can pick them out anyway. I think it's there. I can spot a plant 2 miles away. Sean Davis, who produced the NFR forever, the general manager, he was big into planting girls dancing, and I hated it. And I just have felt like, for people who don't know, if you're at the Wrangler National Files Rodeo, there's a big dude and he gets and dances down the aisle and peels t-shirts off. That guy's on Sports Center all the time. He's at like every NBA, Logan's nodding, every NBA game. There's people sitting in the locker room that make a living entertaining crowds all year, but they hire a guy to do that. It's frustrating to me.
Oh, it is. You got Cody Sosby sitting in the stands, who is a hilarious dancer and does great, who could do the same thing probably. And it's frustrating. You got tons of talent in the comedy side and the specialty act side of it that I'm not a dancer. And that's why I tell them, I said, don't expect me to get in. And you set that up. I mean, everybody thinks that now because Flint danced, you're a clown, you dance. I'm like, I wished I could. I can't even clap along to a song. Like when an announcer's like, all right, everybody put your hands together. I usually have to look at the announcer and they start doing give me the timing so I can go along. Yeah, exactly. Or I look to the stands and hope that the person that I'm clapping along with has rhythm.
Yeah. Or you're just pointing to him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm adjusting my barrel. I'm picking it up.
Hey, I saw that though. It took years of being there where then Sean Davis, when it was his idea, say, okay, come out and dance. And then when I didn't go, the next guy, it might have been Troy Lurwell. It might have been, they're like, okay, come out and dance. Well, I didn't do that because it was what rodeo clowns do. I did it because that's all I've ever done. That's just what I do. It's what I do.
Well, and then I don't know what year was it. Was there a breakdown, a rewrite, or what? And I can remember you doing the boneless chicken. And I think that was the first time that I seen it. And I think it was Bob and Boyd was announcing. And I'm sitting there, I'm rolling, and like you had to feel like truly 2 or 3 minutes. I'm thinking it was a rewrite. Did some guy walk down to the bottom of the aisle and flip you off? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. He walked down and did something.
He did something, and you're like, because I remember you saying something like he said he just told me I was number one or something, and I was like, oh, that was epic. But it was great.
So you talk national finals rodeo, all these things, and we mentioned awards, winning awards, clown of the year, comedy act of the year. Awards are a justification of what we do, or validation. That's the word. But what's hard is we're hired to do a show and entertain, but it's not our show. I've always found that hard to explain to people, that balance in entertaining, that it's not our show. We got to slide in and out and fit where we can.
You know what's funny? You say that. Larry the Cable Guy came to Cody, Wyoming this year, and Boyd was like, "Hey, come meet Larry. They're buddies." Mm-hmm. And so anyway, he was talking about the comedy side of it, how tough our job actually is. He says, because like for me, he goes, I get up there and I got him. He goes, I got him for an hour and I can just keep going. He goes, you start something, you got to stop, you got to shut up. They go do their thing. He said, and then you got to get that guy, Boyd, he's got to slow down, quit talking, let you in more. It was great, like the timing of it. But you're right. I mean, you got to stop, you stop and go. And then there's events where you don't, like for bronc riding anymore, I might walk the fence. I don't say a word, so there's not much. I mean, it's showcasing the Cowboys 100% and the horses and that matter. But the show's different than was, I think, 20 years ago.
Entertainment's different. Rodeos are different. But we need to hold on to the tradition. I'll give you an example. My one example is you have a buckle that says Rodeo Clown of the Year. I think we should hold on to that title. I think we should be proud to be rodeo clowns. The PBR changed it to entertainer because it's not a rodeo. So we were kind of lost. Now all of a sudden, everybody, I'm your entertainer. If you're a rodeo clown, you're a rodeo clown. Be proud of that, right?
Yes, I agree. I don't mind. I mean, I'll fall down and be the butt of the joke every time. I mean, like same way for announcers picking on me or whatever. I mean, like I might do it because I think people find the comedy in I guess something that we do wrong. If the announcers pick on us, I mean, it should be fun. I should be able to banter back and forth with the announcer, and that's one of the things I like about some of the announcers. I mean, every announcer is different. You have to work with every announcer is 100% different in their style, and you have to learn to adapt to that show, that announcer, and everything. But I think the banter back and forth with the announcer is 100%. Jokes aren't really my forte. I'm not good at them. I usually screw them up. I screw up words in general. Like that's just kind of my thing. I went through, you've ever worked rodeo for Charlie Lowry?
No, I have not.
Great guy, super Christian family from Georgia. And my wife's actually sitting in the trailer, and it's during the team rope, and this guy backs in the box. And anyway, I start dancing, saying like doing the areola.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
So I'm listening from the trailer, and my husband is yelling areola in the middle of the arena, and I got really sweaty, and I got nervous, and I called Ashley Comfort, a fellow clown's wife. I said, "Is there any reason which you think our husbands should say areola in the arena?" And she said, "Carla, I can't think of a reason why they would say that." So, okay, good. So, I mean, I am nervous. John gets back to the trailer. I said, "John, why were you yelling areola in the middle of the arena?" He said, "Well, that's the Little Mermaid. I was just talking." I was like, "No, her name is Ariel." So then he didn't know.
That's in the porn version of Little Mermaid. Her name's Ariel.
We've had 4 children together, and he didn't know.
What? It's not a word I heard a lot in college. Okay.
And he's a mess. He does that on a Wednesday at home here in Hugo. He went to the cleaners and asked if they did altercations, and they're like, "Sir, we try not to do altercations." So.
Well, oh my God, that's hilarious, because we have a running joke with me and Richard Jones, Brad Narducci, guys, about we use wrong words on purpose. And like, John, you're such a genuine guy. I appreciate everything you do because you have complete transparency. See, John, you didn't even know I screwed up like 3 words there. You didn't even know.
I knew one.
Because I'm not joking. Very simple. I love him to pieces, but if it sounds right, he's going to roll with it.
I am going to. I say something, it comes out wrong. Like I'll say it, and I'll be like, it is on the live mic. You say it sometimes, you're like, ooh, yeah, that is. I should have, caught myself. So with Deadwood, Randy Crowley's announcing, and this bull smokes the barrel. Like, we go rolling, and so I'm trying to think of, like if I come up, he's going to say, "Hey, are you okay?" or whatever. And I'll be like, "Man, hey, if I don't light your fire, your wood's wet," or something. Well, anyway, my hat got bent all down, and I come up, and Randy looks at me and says, he didn't ask if I was okay. He just goes, "You look like Woody off of Toy Story." And I looked down, I was like, "Well, my wood's wet." And I was just like, that came out so wrong. And he goes, "What'd you say?" And I was, and it
is it?
And so I felt terrible. Carla's like, "Go start the truck, kids. We just got fired."
And my friend turned to me. She said, "Did your husband just say his wood was wet?"
And then Randy said, how about a big salute to John and his Woody there?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's been a couple times I said little things, but people, if it's that obvious, people understand. You're not trying to offend anybody. You want to know after I said it, I wondered if I should have, but it turned out to be real funny. I got one for you. If you're
Let's hear it.
Years ago, PBR World Finals, and Bo Derek used to come. Bo Derek, the actress that was in the movie 10.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
I was thinking baseball.
not Bo Jackson. Big difference. So Bo Derek is there. So I used to fill about 4 big commercial breaks every night at the World Finals, and I do the boneless chicken. I'm flopping on the ground, and I'm laying on the ground, and just interrupt Bob Feist. "Well, hey, we're over here in the corner. Bo Derek is here. Look at that." And he was going to interview her, and I'm in the middle of something, and I just hop up and say, "Bo Derek," and Feisty's like, "Well, yeah." I said, "Bo Derek, that'll put a bone back in your chicken pretty fast." Yeah. So I'm walking back to in front of where the TV booth was, and Ty Murray was doing TV. He pulls off his headphones. He says, "Hey, that's the funniest bleep I've ever heard you say in your life." So I knew I was okay. But anyway, we all have those, but
absolutely. You have those moments too. What do you do? Like, and I don't know. I have this, like, as far as you don't know whether to call attention to it. Like, yes, I just screwed up. Like, you're going in the stands and you're going to do something with somebody, and like you go to step on the empty chair, but it's a folding one, and down you go.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Do you play it off, or do you
Yeah.
just be like, yeah, okay, I just fell? Like,
Um,
I mean, it's just that awkward. Yeah.
Oh, when I fell, where? Oh, I fell off the railing in Billings. Yeah. And Logan. Yeah. And Logan caught me. And another one was, I was at Madison Square Garden and I crawled over in the hockey. I had some slick shoes on, the hockey deals there. And I jumped down and hit the concrete and my feet. And I did I'm okay. I think you got to do, the comedy is, to me, no matter what we do in the arena, like if I'm out there dancing and doing stuff, I gotta have that moment where I go, I'm a dumbass. You know, I mean, self-deprecation.
I do that all the time.
You have to do it, don't you? No matter.
You're the clown.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Self-deprecation is so funny. And when you're, and I don't care if you're a clown or not a clown, but anyone that's willing to laugh at themselves is just a better person. And, you know,
I blew my knee out in the arena doing rhythmic gymnastics, making fun of rhythmic gymnastics.
you've seen this Olympic.
You've
guy.
seen the Olympic outfit, the beautiful leotard. Yeah, so I'm making fun, and I mean, I jump up and do a beautiful pirouette. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
And I come down and like blow a knee completely out. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny laying there trying to get help. Like, yeah, that's how we ended the act. But
And then people think you're joking. Oh, he's fun.
That was great. Just like falling off in the trick riding act. Carla says you can't really fall off when you're hanging off. But
He was running beside the horse, and like technically to fall off, you'd have to be on it. But he wintered well that year, and he didn't keep up with the horse. And away the horse went.
so I'm running beside. I got to hold the horse, and running. And when I fall, like I full scorpion, my face went down, my feet come over the top. I had full makeup inside my hat. You could see everything. I'm talking about biffed it hard. And people are like, I can't wait to see you do that tomorrow night. That was great.
Yeah, and I've been where Troy Lurwell blew a knee out on his motorcycle. He's broken ankles. One of my biggest worries is, see, it's been 13 years, but I had a heart attack.
Yes.
We remember that.
Yeah, in shape, Flint had a heart attack.
In shape, Flint had a heart. I worry that in the arena something's going to happen and everybody's going to think I'm joking. And I just, oh look, he's doing the boneless chicken again.
Like Dwayne Riker, you've heard the story about Dwayne with his ambulance act, and his wife Claudia's in there, and the pyro's going off, but she can't get the door open.
So wait, so she's in the ambulance and there's pyro in the ambulance, right?
Yeah, I guess the fire or something started, and so Dwayne was trying to get the door open, and he couldn't get the door open to the ambulance to help her, and it was full of smoke, and she's beating the side of it, and everybody thinks she's just it's a joke to try to get out. And whatever the fire or pyro was that got her, like, it melted, like it singed all of her hair to the side of her face. And I mean, truly bad burns, but same kind of deal. Like he was trying to call for help, and everybody's just watching the wreck happen. So.
That's not funny. But it's
not, but that's what you're talking about.
My
Yeah.
wives don't get enough.
It's funny. And I don't know that on this, that I do enough of this where we talk about things that have happened to us, and when I was early in my career, I went up, there used to be a really big spring rodeo in Calgary, the Rodeo Royal. Yep. And I went up and Greg Roomer was the bullfighter and I had him help me. I used to do a Mood-O-Matic act. I don't know if you remember, and I'd get in and I'd change into Elvis.
Okay.
And they had me do an act before the rodeo started. Talk about put you in no way can you succeed.
That sounds like a Billy Butler movie.
No character.
Yeah, it was because the crowd comes in a little late. Anyway. So what it did was I had the pants on underneath. I'd crawl in and peel down to the Elvis pants. And then the top I'd slide into, it's clown stuff, magic. Well, Greg Roomer had taped the sleeves shut. So he's standing there in front of it and he blows smoke and I'm kicking the door, which is hitting his shins. What's wrong? You can't do this. This is what I do. And I'm like, man, I can't get the top on. This is going to fail. I'm like yelling at him out, and he pokes in the door. He goes, dude, don't get stressed. Nobody's freaking watching you anyway. But anyway, we all have those moments that somebody messes with. Anyway.
What about crazy fans?
I don't know. You brought one up at the NFR. I don't know what you give me one.
So this was way back. I've just started clowning. Bob Thomas. We were in Joseph, Oregon. I don't know if you've ever been to Joseph. Beautiful place. And so there was this gal that was dancing, having fun the entire night. Good looking blonde. And so anyway, of course, I go to her. She's dancing. They play the song, and I'm like, "Yeah, go, girl." Well, anyway, she wants my hat, and I wear a red hat, that's pretty recognizable. And so she was going to crawl over into the arena, and I was like, "You can't do that. You got to get back on the other side." So we're bucking bulls now, and she's standing on the fence, screaming and hollering. She wants my hat, and I'm at the barrel. I'm like, "No, you can't have my hat." This broad crawls over the fence, and they're like getting ready to buck a bull. So I'm like, what do I do? I have to run to the timed event end to try to lead her away from the bull riding action. So I take off running, and she's chasing me. I'm like, I look over my shoulders thinking she's kind of giving up. Track star. Like, she is on me. And I mean, I am like hauling butt to the other end of the arena, and I truly run all the way, and I just take my hat and I throw it back into the stands where now she's got to crawl back over the fence. And so she does. She's just there for the hat. She crawls right back over and goes back to her seat, and she's all cheerleading and stuff. So I do the rest of the bull riding without a hat. So and now the bull riding's ended. I walk back to the fence, and I'm like, "Hey, can I have my hat back?" And she's like, "It's my hat." And I was like, "Hey, no, I really need a hat for like the rest of the weekend." This lady behind her reaches and grabs the hat and just like slings it over the fence to me. And so I grab the hat. I leave the barrel in the arena, and like I am running, and she is back over the fence chasing me. And we start going down the alleyway, and security just tackles her like crazy fans.
What's amazing is you fell in love with her and married her, though. That's so great, Carla. Carla, very great job.
Lovely. Thank you.
I've had
that hat.
3 or 4 incidents of people jumping into the arena, and I understand like music rock stars and stuff, when they're on stage and somebody comes on stage and they go do this, like they're scared. There's a reason, because you don't know, like they'll catch me off guard. It scares me.
Yep. It does. It's crazy. And so back to the thing you was talking about earlier, like you're going to be in the arena, you're down there doing the boneless chicken, and everybody thinks you're just doing the chicken. They all thought it was either Carla or Nikki Kamart, the trick rider. Mm-hmm. They thought it was planned and staged, and so nobody was trying to stop her until finally they realized running down the alleyway that she's crazy.
I was look at us just sharing stories. I like it. I was doing the PBR in Pendleton, Oregon a few years ago, and it's in the Happy Canyon Arena. It's really small. And every year there I wrote a Pendleton Roundup song, which is real popular there. So it became part of my being there. And in the middle of the song, some lady jumps into the arena. And that's the Pendleton Roundup song is a really meaningful part of my weekend when I'm singing it. And I'm like, guys, can somebody help me out? We thought it was part of the deal. I'm like, how long have I been here? Do I ever have anybody in the arena? I kind of turned into, damn it. Hey,
Grouchy clown.
But one last one, and then we'll move on, because you were talking about people in the crowd, and you've been to the Reno Rodeo, which it's so good. Isn't it so good in Reno?
It is so awesome. Some of the best fans in the world. And it's just truly one of the best. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Win.
Well, me too. No, I'm joking.
So we can work it together.
I'll never forget the pickup men were Jeff Shearer and Shorty Gorham were picking up there.
Shorty was picking up?
Awesome.
Yeah, Shorty, great pickup man. Anyway, there's a corner, and all those boxes in the front are different like businesses. You know, right in the front. So people kind of know what I'm talking about. And in the corner, we had the fans in a frenzy during the bull ride. I mean, we were rolling, and in this corner, there was this box and it had a whole bunch of really very attractive ladies in it. And they're going, come here. And so finally I dive into this box and they won't let me out. Well, it was a the business was they were dancers, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
It was a
Entertainment.
exotic dancing. It was a strip joint, but and they mugged me down, and they're like trying to pull my shorts down. And I'm on my microphone, much like when people think it's part of the act, I'm asking for help. And everybody, finally, Shorty and Shetland, Jeff Shear, come over on their horses and pull me out of this box. Like, rodeo clown killed by 10 strippers. I can hear it now.
His nightmare is every other man's dream.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Oh my gosh. So that was probably,
At least your friends pulled you out of the situation, because some of them would have been like pushed you back.
yeah, it was, I said, leave the shorts alone. Leave the shorts alone.
Tracy always like tie your shorts.
Exactly. Got to tie your shorts every time. Yeah. What does it used to be, we used to talk in this business, if you had work in the winter, getting back to kind of the business side, if you had work in the winter in the rodeo business, you were doing really well. Like, there's just not that much. A lot more. The times have changed because there's standalone bull riding events everywhere. There's PBRs, there's rodeos. So there's way more work in the winter than there used to be.
That is so true. Thank goodness.
Does your winter, because, at least up in Montana, rodeo is summer. That's it.
Right.
What do you do all winter? What do you do all winter? Are you swamped?
Well, so what's great, we got the liquor store, which is awesome in the wintertime, because November, December, if you don't work the NFR, there's not a whole lot of checks in December. Yeah. So thank goodness for getting to work the NFR. But the liquor store keeps us hopping until yesterday. And so now I've got 2-3 weeks off, and we'll start back. I'm going south. My family always makes fun of me this time of year because I try to book stuff in Florida.
Meanwhile, we're calving and it's ice cold here. I mean, not as bad as y'all, but it's cold for us. And he's sending pictures from Florida. Anyhow, but he stays busy. We have the liquor store, 23 rent houses, and some commercial properties we're working on.
So yeah, the Odessa's, Isley's going to Odessa this year, and I've worked it for like 2-3 years. And so I don't have any of the big winter rodeos. Like Rump's got the run, like the Denver and the San Antonio and stuff like that. So most of mine are the other smaller ones. There's lots of in South Texas, those little 3-day indoor Bay City, Texas, stuff like that I go work. I don't really do any PBRs. I never got into that side of it. It's mostly just all the PRCAs, but if I can stay in South and stay warm, that's where I go. I did some of the world's toughest, and that's kind of like y'all's weather. You fly to St. Paul and freeze to death in 20 degrees or over.
You kind of passed over a good point, though. I don't know if people understand. I did work Denver as far as those big the big winter building rodeos. There's Denver, there's Houston, there's Fort Worth, there's San Antonio. They're like 25 performances. I worked Denver, but I think your sanity holds together and the quality of the work holds together better if you can fill in with real, like 3-day. Florida has them, like you say, South Texas. Those, I remember doing 2 and 3 performances a day, and the whole mentality of entertainment completely changed for me.
Well, it does. And I've worked Fort Worth before, and you kind of catch yourself, or I do anyway, on the morning show, saving yourself for energy for the afternoon or the night show. So you're not giving them the full 100% package, and it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to go give 100% every time. And I guess I really try to give 100%, but I catch myself being like, hey, don't say that, save that for the bigger crowd at night or whatever. And
I agree.
I appreciate the entertainers in Vegas. Like when we go to Cirque shows every year, and they're performing 2 at night, and I always think about that, where their level of excitement for what they're doing is.
I always said going to Denver was different. I felt like at 11 in the morning, I punched in, and at the end of the night, I punched out, and I was there to do a job. And I didn't ever feel like, I felt like I do this job because I don't want to do that.
100%. In the same way, I feel the same way with committees when it comes to promos. And promos, it's part of our job to go help sell tickets, go to the radio stations, do a TV spot, whatever it is. But there are some committees that will be like, hey, can you sign from Walmart from 11 to 3? And I'm like, no, I'm going to be the grouchy clown and say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to Walmart.
It's your prep time.
It's my prep. I have a routine.
Yeah, exactly. That's that. Hey, I used to work a rodeo. I won't say which one it was, but we used to go in. They knew we were coming in early from the previous rodeo. So we did 4 school assemblies a day for 2 days. Grade schools. We go to, and that was like their way of getting their money's worth out of us. I won't say which rodeo it was, but it was Lewiston, Idaho. Anyway, and a wonderful, if whoever's watching there, wonderful rodeo. But finally, one of the last years I went, I said, I won't be there all week because my daughter is starting kindergarten and I'm going to go home for a few days. So hopefully you'll understand. It is hard, but part of this job is other things. And to me, it's a hard balance to do the things that are necessary and saying no, because I think saying no to that stuff is hard.
Oh, it is hard because, that's their one time a year. We do it every weekend, and it's their one time a year, and all week it's rodeo week for them. And they want to see you at every event, every parade, everything. And but it wears you down to the point that it comes time for the perf and you feel like you've been on for 6 hours and you're now it's the end of the day. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We've each brought up a name a couple times here. And so for people watching that don't know, I think, our job has evolved. The style of our jobs has evolved, but I think one of the great classic traditional rodeo clowns in our world is Keith Isley from North Carolina.
100%. That guy, of course he opened the doors for me. I'm glad he was significantly older enough that his knees were bad at the time, that it worked out really well for me because I got the trick riding act and he let me take it. And I caught a lot of hell for that. People were like, you copied his act. And I was like, what did you copy his act? But then everybody's like, well, you need to change it and make it your own. I'm like, well, heck, it's act of the year. Like, why would you change something that's working? And I'd be like, trying to go into Amazon and, be like, hey, we're not going to carry everything. And like, one of them deals opened up. But Isley, man, he just was one of them. I go as a specialty act, and there was you guys that I would watch, and Isley was one of them that I could go watch the clown the entire rodeo. When I got done doing my act, I'd go sit on the chutes and watch y'all, do your show. And Isley's one of them. He can say something and make it or the way he's walking across the arena, whatever it is. He's an entertainer.
And he's a class act in and out of the arena.
Hey, Flint. Awesome. That North Carolina accent is so hard. Hey, Flint, it's Keith Isley. I love that guy. Hey,
we did too.
Did you go on vacation?
Yeah, we went on vacation with Flint and Mel.
We went to the Bahamas, and Flint's kind of tight. I mean, Cody Webster's tight, and Flint,
Keith,
yeah. Cody, yeah. Keith is just as tight as Cody. So we went, and it's all-inclusive resort. So Keith's like, well, if it's all-inclusive, that means I've already paid for it, so I'm going to do it. So I'm on the way down there. I'm like, you going snorkeling? He's like, I don't want to snorkel. I don't really like the idea of being under the water. Well, then it's free. You already paid for it. Well, I guess we're going snorkeling, So
he stayed out later than us, dancing, hooping, and hollering. And when we got up the next morning, he was the first guy we saw, except he was already out on the water.
We look across, there goes Keith on water skis just across the water. We're just taking advantage of it.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he was the oldest one on our vacation. We have Clowncation. He was the oldest one and stayed up later and partied more than all of us.
That guy is a talent. He is. I love that guy, the bitter old bastard. Anyway, real quick, I told Logan when I started, a lot of you guys that I have on this show, I know really well and where everything, And I said, I think what's fun about John, we are friends, but I don't know the ins and outs of your life. Like you came along after I did, but the big thing is I can see a lot of people say, how do you get into this sport? How do you, my family was in it. Your family was in it. You had a natural path. Your grandpa, right? Freckles Brown, the famous bull rider, Freckles Brown, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. So, he won the world in 62, and in 1967 got on Tornado, which had been bucked 200 times, and he rode that bull. And so, of course, as a kid, he passed away when I was in 3rd grade. So I knew Grandpa as Grandpa, not the rodeo guy. he hauled me to the cell barns, and like he would leave his piece of paper with me, and he'd go get a cup of coffee, and he'd come back, and I bought 3 killer cows by waving the flag, So, and then he'd haul them down. He'd laugh, and then next week we'd haul them right back to town and go back to cell barn. But rodeo really let me get to know him, because the Hadley Barretts and the Clem McSpaddens and the people that he worked with got to telling rodeo stories about him and stuff. And so I had a natural in. I mean, those announcers that worked, I knew him, and everybody kind of took to me, opened a lot of doors. I tried riding bulls. I realized I wasn't tough enough. It just, you can get a check every time by doing what we do. And I appreciate that.
I tell kids that all the time. Keep doing this. We get paid every night. So,
every single night.
Yeah,
my family. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My family roped. So my dad, we grew up in a roping pen. My brother roped. He a tie down roper. And so I was the kid that got yelled at every time in the roping pen, because like they'd go tie a calf, and then I had to make 2 laps of trick riding, and they were all like, "Get the hell out of the way! We're trying to rope." So anyway, now they look back and laugh. That I'm the one making a living, and the rest of them, they're done roping, or they moved from tie down roping to team roping now, so it's a little easier.
It's funny, and he'll probably listen to this. I have, my brother Will, that's the announcer. Yeah. I have another brother, Pete. You maybe don't know Pete, but we joke all the time. Will and I, we really didn't want anything to do with rodeo. And Pete was a cowboy. He wears a cowboy hat every single day of his life. He's on a horse, and he's pissed because we're the ones making a living at rodeo, and Pete isn't.
A lot less work involved with what you're doing than what he's doing. The weather, like y'all controlled environment usually. I mean, yeah, poor Pete. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete's fine. He's the judge. He's a judge. He's the
really.
Yeah.
In your county, so that could help you out.
Not like a PRCA judge.
No,
like a PRCA judge.
No, he's the justice of the Pete. But I don't live there anymore. But yeah, okay. Before I let you go, Happy New Year to you guys, by the way.
Happy New Year to you.
As we do this, and this is more of a personal how you approach life. A lot of people, the new year it's a new year, it's a new start. Maybe I'm jaded or bitter. To me, January 1st is a day that there's good football on, and January 2nd. Do you guys have these deep views of the new year, or is it just a new year in business? What is your new year take?
New Year's Eve is always fun. We always have a great time. We usually have a bunch of rodeo friends down. So we built a house that we could host in. So we'll have 22 to however many people staying here to actually have a party. We didn't light anybody on fire this year, so that was a good year. Yeah. You have to ask Rumford about that. I've got video I need to send you with a belly button shot.
There's been a few people with them. I mean, not completely on flaming on fire, but there's burn marks.
But the next day, to me, means starting to prepare taxes. That's the one thing you got to start over, which is never inventory of the store. Because they want to know end of year what you owe them. There's no like New Year resolution, new me, whatever. No, it's just like back to the grindstone.
Hold on, I think you called it a New Year's resolution. Right there, that's a word screw up by John Harrison.
He also called my mom a dominatrix. So, he's not. Words are not his friend.
Well, she is a bit and has a nice areolas. So
she don't know her like I know her.
There's things we know. Oh, the Little Mermaid being areola. That may go down. I'm calling my friend Brad Narducci and Richard Jones right after this to tell them that you called areola.
He needs to get a song that says areola in it so I can dance to it.
No, theresen not. It would be from the same box of people he got sucked into. That would be.
Oh my God, John, you're a treasure trove of screwed up words. We've been, that guy, we have, mine was, he really talks down to me. He's so condensation. He's just,
I don't even really know what word you're yes.
Condescending. Oh my
God. Yeah.
4 years of college degree and I get this guy.
Well, listen, you guys, it's I love, John, this went a good way, like sharing stories of experiences. This has been refreshing because honestly, getting towards the end of my arena career and you get tired and not jaded. I'm not jaded about it. I'm just kind of tired. And I don't do that enough. I think we got to talk about that to remind ourselves, holy crap, that was really fun and could happen again. I think it's healthy.
It is healthy. And there's sometimes the things that when shit goes wrong ends up at the end, what you laugh at, like truly the good stories of what you have. I mean, when the trailer caught fire with Carla and with the kids in it, and and I'm in Alaska doing a rodeo and she's hauling my stuff. Like it wasn't pretty at the moment, Flint. Like it was ugly and she was mad because I was supposed to get the bearings packed and I was like, we'll get through the summer fine.
I was going to buy a new trailer. He said, babe, please don't buy a new trailer. We'll get everything fixed. You're going to be fine this summer. I said, John Harrison, if I'm on the side of the road with the kids and the horses and you're in Alaska, I'm going to be so mad. And that's exactly what happened. I had a fire. By the time John landed back in the lower 48, I had a beautiful new bloomer parked in the yard. So
serves you right, John, for going to Alaska.
Very expensive rodeo in Alaska.
Nice job, John.
I agree. I love the sharing stories. I loved hearing your stories. And I wish you were here or us there and we could sit all day and exchange stories because that's the best to me.
Yeah.
I enjoy
Someday
that.
I'll swing in down there or just meet up somewhere where you're at a rodeo that you're working and we'll sit and drink coffee all morning. And
I
like it.
Yeah. And Carla, I'm glad you slid in because it helps. I think that's healthy. You're a real major player. When we think of John, we think of Carla as well. And I think that's important. Don't take that for granted. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Flint. And I have such respect for you and what you do and what you've done for our industry.
Wow.
So, but I have, this guy gets really nervous to do, like, he could speak in front of thousands and this makes him nervous. So he asked that I be right there.
Be close.
It's just, hey, John, by the way, one more thing. One thing you and I deal with from when we were young and shedding the hat and doing this. We both got this going on. There you go. All the great one. You know what? The Lord made some perfect heads in this world and he put hair on the rest of them. That's what mine's slow and steady. Keep it up.
It's falling out every day. My kids give me a hard time by it. So
hell with them. Kids.
Exactly.
That's right. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Congrats on everything. By the way, I'm proud of you and what you do. And told Logan, the guy that helps me here, before we went on the air, I was sitting right in this chair and I said, the good thing about John Harrison, he's just a class act. He's just a good dude. So,
well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. And thank you for opening the door for all the barrelman and special decks out there, because you truly did kind of kick it open and make people realize the importance of our jobs.
Well,
so, thank you.
Appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Yep.